All right. So, Hope, Brett, we really appreciate your time with the team. I know we have some mutual clients with AIPM, and one of the things we wanted to make sure is we're up to date with the capabilities that you have above and beyond maybe some of the standard programs we're familiar with, like the Smokeless program or some of your coaching platforms. Really understand everything that you have to offer and maybe some of the new enhancements. I know, Hope, we've talked about those a little bit, but maybe some of the enhancements that have been going on over the past year to help us understand a little bit better kind of everything that's going on. So I know you put together a presentation for us, and you and Brett are going to walk through it, but I'm going to turn it over to you. The team's on. You tell us how you want to take questions as well. If you want to save those to the end, or if you want us to ask throughout, we're happy to kind of go either way.
Great, thank you. Brett is going to be presenting the majority of this presentation, so I want to thank him for doing that, and I'll let him discuss the Q&A portion.
Yeah, so again, want to thank everybody for coming together. I know it's not always easy to find the time, so we're certainly grateful that we have assembled here. And as far as questions go, I'm happy to take them as we go along, perhaps. As you think of them, feel free to jump in. That's perfectly fine with me. Sometimes that actually prompts me or a conversation around particular areas of interest, which is really what this is all about. I'd rather focus on things that you're interested in. So sort of just an outline of the format that we had conceived. Two of the newer products that we wanted to show you are actually online products. So I figured I'd spend maybe half of the time going through some slides and exploring things from sort of a high-level standpoint, and then actually diving in and logging into both our portal and showing you our new Healthy Learn on-demand library to kind of show you the live websites. I think that's a better way to get a feel for them as opposed to explaining them through slides. Does that sound okay, with obviously questions along the way and as well at the end?
Sounds good to me. Anybody else on the team have any additional parts and pieces you want to make sure that Brett or Hope addresses? Please bring them up as we're going throughout.
The other thing is I do have some slides at the beginning that we typically include for presentations like this. There's some history about our company, some sort of credibility type things about us. I figured I might be able to save us some time by kind of breezing through those, since we do have a longer standing relationship with you, and focus more on actually some of the programs that we're offering, some of our new things here in 2015. Does that sound good, or are there some people on the call that you think it may be helpful to go through some of that history and credibility type projects?
I think we can. I think you made the right choice there, Brett. I think we can shelve those for now.
Okay.
I think we have a pretty firm understanding on the history, and if there are questions around that, I'm sure we can address those offline. I think if we can focus on the capability side, that's probably our best avenue here.
Okay, good. Yeah, I figured we've got limited time, so let's try to make the most of it. So in that case, let's go through these slides as quickly as possible, and we'll land on the Calmer approach slide, which you may or may not be familiar with. This is a framework that we developed a few years back that organizes not just our program offerings, but also it's a nice way to conceive of what a comprehensive wellness program could consist of or should consist of from a sort of a high-level standpoint. Of course, you can narrow down each individual component, but it's an acronym that stands for communication, assessment activities, lifestyle enhancement programs. You're obviously familiar with that in our Smokeless and other coaching programs. The medical self-care piece, I believe you've had a little bit of familiarity with. The education materials, and then the R squared for rewards and reporting. We actually can, I'm not sure if you're aware, provide all of those components in what we call the Calmer program. So we've got the Calmer approach, which is sort of the framework, and we take those pieces and offer them as a full comprehensive wellness program. So for a client that may be interested in, soup to nuts, beginning with a communication campaign, moving into, biometric screenings, health risk assessments, and then into lifestyle enhancement, providing the medical self-care materials, ongoing education, the reward platform, incentive management. The nice thing about working with us in this capacity from a comprehensive standpoint is all of the various components of the programs are linked through the online portal, and all of our programs are very tightly integrated so that the coaches are also communicating through the portal, and all of the various aspects of the program work to help and reinforce one another. Of course, as you're well aware, these components can be offered on an individual basis, but I thought I'd sort of give you that high-level comprehensive program to start with, and then we'll narrow down into the components. Communication, usually when we talk about communication, there's two aspects to it. We're talking about actually launching a program. Most of those communication materials we provide for free when you sign up with our programs to help market the programs to the end users. We can also develop a custom communication campaign, which there may be some cost to depending on the programs involved. But we're also referring to ongoing communication measures, so things like monthly newsletters, calendars, posters, brochures, things that help keep the wellness message in front of employees on an ongoing basis. So here pictured are a couple of the products, the newsletter, the calendar, of course. One thing to mention, we're always happy to provide samples of things. We have PDF samples of everything. We can send hard copies of things that you're interested in sharing with your team there, but also with particular clients that may be interested. Assessments, the two major components of an assessment program are health risk assessments, I'm sure that you're familiar with, and also the biometric screenings. We have a health assessment that's built into our platform that has some distinct advantages. For one, we have two versions, a shorter version and a longer version. The shorter version is about 40 questions. The longer version is about 60. The reason I say about is because there is branching logic built in to where depending on how you answer a certain question, you may be led into other questions and the length may vary slightly. The difference between the shorter and longer versions are primarily in a block of readiness to change questions that we typically will always include if there's a coaching program being associated with the program, but we can also include the longer version if a client desires. The coaches in particular find those readiness to change questions very useful when they're planning their coaching sessions with the participants. We allow for unlimited usage on the risk assessment. It's not limited to just once or twice a year. Adding and removing questions is unlimited and very easy to do. The reporting capabilities are quite nice. You can actually even customize the output on the report that the user sees to reinforce existing resources that the client offers or local resources. It's a fairly nice tool, and again, it's tightly integrated with other aspects of the health portal that we'll touch on when we jump in there. Actually, this is one of the products that we'll go in and see in a moment. And then biometric screenings, you're also familiar with. This is something that we don't actually provide in terms of having our own phlebotomist, but we do have partnerships with organizations that can easily provide this. If a client's interested in a full comprehensive program, it's something that we can coordinate for them. Lifestyle enhancement, I think actually this is probably where you'll jump in. This is Hope's area of expertise in terms of our lifestyle programs and our coaching. Did you have that in mind,
yes.
Hope? Did you want to? Okay. Sure. Why don't you go ahead and tackle these few slides?
Well, as you all know, we do offer these 5 lifestyle enhancement programs. Besides, there's actually 6 here. Healthy Life Coaching is an addition to a program that we could do after HRA or even part of the portal. Smokeless, you're aware of, Healthy Life Way, Systematic Stress Management, Healthy Life Improvement, and Sleep Well. Healthy Life Improvement, just quickly, it doesn't really exactly say what it is, but that's an overall comprehensive program. We kind of work with participants in different stages of change and areas that they may want to focus on. So this might be an individual that might be very healthy, but they might want to improve on their physical activity or safety measures, things of that nature that might go above and beyond just comprehensive programs such as like smokeless or stress management. And Sleep Well is a more of a newer program that we've had in the last 3 or 4 years that we've actually changed a little bit, and we've talked about that before too, so I could go into detail on that at a later date if needed. But some of our differentiators that you may or may not know is our coaches are not only trained in motivational interviewing, but we take it a step further and we have behavior modification protocol that they are also trained in called the Bemin model that Dr. Powell developed during his doctoral dissertation at University of Michigan when he was putting together his tobacco cessation program, which ultimately became the Smokeless program. So they're not only just addressing those motivational interviewing questions, but they're taking it a step beyond that. All of our participants receive a physical kit. We do have options for online and also digital kits if needed. That's sometimes preferred in some regards, and sometimes it's also something that participants might want options depending on if they're very mobile or not. And as you can see in some of those images, those are just 3 of the programs that have some of the items that are in the kits. Some enhancements is this one next bullet is unlimited inbound calls. That's always been our protocol, but something we've added for 2015. It's actually now 24/7, 365 days a year. There is no limit to the amount of calls or when a participant can call their coach or even an after-hours coach. Even the after-hours coaches are actually nurses, and they are fully trained in all of our lifestyle programs. So they can address any stage that the participant may be in the particular program that they're enrolled in. We do have 7 outbound calls. Actually 5 of them are done in the first 95 days of enrollment. We did that to actually enhance the program for several reasons, one being to work well with ACA requirements and a compliance-based program, so reporting in a very quick turnaround time for any incentives to turn those on or off, but also to approach a participant at a very early stage where they are actually more likely to make those changes because they've recently enrolled. So we want to contact them quite a bit, as many times as possible in the beginning of the program. Another enhancement that we've made that goes along with that last statement is the monthly emails that we do for participants. Those are sent out from their actual coach. All participants are assigned to one coach for the entire 12-month long program, and those monthly emails are tailored to that participant. They are not canned emails. Something else that the participants receive are pre- and post-treatment emails and a post-treatment survey. So those are behavior questions. So it just takes the enrollment and the tailoring of the program a step further by actually focusing on where that participant may be and their behaviors around maybe tobacco use or so on and so forth, so that the coach can actually tailor the treatment of them based on based on that survey, and then we're able to actually compare that in the post-treatment survey on where they may have changed and any information we might want to follow up with them on where they may need some additional follow-up. And that's also available in it's additional cost, but there's also an availability of a report to show that information, those metrics. Another part of the coaching, it's okay, I didn't have it on there, but another enhancement that we made that Brett's going to go into more detail on is our Healthy Learn. Our coaches have access to every single article that is in the Healthy Learn platform, and I'll let Brett kind of dive into that a little bit in more detail, but by having our coaches have access to that, they actually are able to send educational materials via PDF to the participants. So if a participant's maybe in the Smokeless program and they also have some additional questions on weight management, which we address in the Smokeless program, or they might have a family member with a chronic condition, they just want to learn a little bit more about it, whatever it may be, our coaches have access to all that educational materials that they can send them as well. As you can see from the slide, all of our coaches are actually our employees. They have a bachelor's or master's degree in a health-related field. I will say 99% of our coaches are master's degree level. They are trained in motivational interviewing and, of course, as I said, the behavior modification program. And they're all trained prior to coaching any participant in our specific lifestyle program, and they must pass our enrollment in that with a 90% or higher grade. So I think those are the only two slides for me.
Okay. Yeah, so the health portal, thanks for that, Hope. Obviously, you've had a great deal of familiarity with our coaching programs, so we'll leave it at that and move forward. The other aspect of lifestyle enhancement, and just sort of as a general philosophy, the L in the lifestyle enhancement, at this point we're at the point of a program where we've done assessment, we've communicated programs, and this is where sort of the rubber meets the road, and we're actually encouraging individuals to make changes. So of course coaching would fall under that category. The portal also allows for quite a bit of lifestyle change opportunity through tracking, through challenges, through education, and so forth. So I'm not going to go into too great a detail because this is something that we're going to dive into. There is a mobile app that we'll take a look at. There's marketing materials that are included that all get customized to the specific client with their unique URL, with dates that are relevant, logos, and so forth. The next online piece that we'll touch on is Healthy Learn, which is the comprehensive library Hope alluded to that our coaches have access to, but that can also be provided as a tool for end users to browse, sort of like as if they were to go on to a WebMD or something like that. I'll talk a little bit more about the philosophy behind that when we jump in. But quite comprehensive, very user-friendly, and very aesthetically pleasing as well. Medical self-care is a piece that you probably are familiar with. In case anybody's not, the premise behind medical self-care has to do with getting people to the appropriate level of care. In the country, roughly 25% of all doctor visits and 55% of all ER visits tend to be unnecessary in nature, and with an average cost of almost $200 and almost $400 respectively. You can see where it doesn't take too many of those visits to be avoided due to more appropriate utilization to see a nice return on an initial investment. Actually, medical self-care is one of the more well-studied areas of wellness programs due to, I think, the ease of studying, where you can take a look at claims data, pre-program, and as long as there's no significant changes to the benefit design, you can take a look at post-medical self-care program. And we've been lucky enough to be a part of a number of those studies where we take a look at the initial investment of the medical self-care program, and then how that affected the claims throughout the year after the program. And so you can see the summary of our studies has an average ROI of 15 to 1, and again, it has to do with the relative inexpensive cost of self-care materials and the relative high cost of healthcare, as you're well aware. ER visits, doctor visits, all of the associated tests that are performed, medications that are prescribed, things that are done unnecessarily. And I want to reinforce the point that we're not just avoiding unnecessary visits, but there's also a lot of money to be saved by getting somebody into care when they would have otherwise ignored symptoms. So we'll actually provide a free return on investment analysis. We take a look at our data throughout history, and we can sort of apply the numbers to a respective client based on the number of employees that they have and the type of program they're interested in. If it's passing out a book or a full comprehensive program, we can actually project based on the cost of the program and conservative projections of avoided doctor and ER visits, how much money there will be to be saved. So this is a nice thing for you to be able to offer to clients that are considering self-care or who may not be educated in self-care and just how cost-effective it can be. So if you just let us know any client, their name, how many employees they have, if they're interested, what they're interested in, we can prepare these for you and send them off to you as PDFs, and you can share them with clients.
There's also a survey. Can I step in real quick? I just want to make sure they know that there's also a 6-month or 1-year post after they've been handed out survey that we can give, and then we can actually do a whole full ROI analysis with a report. I just wanted to add that. That's like a beforehand, and then we can do a post also. Just wanted to add.
Yeah. No, thank you. Mention that it's not just about avoiding care, it's about getting people into care. You wouldn't believe the number of letters we receive from individuals who, thank us and thank the self-care materials they received because it saved their life. Rather dramatic, but it happens more often than you'd think. People ignore symptoms, they check their book, they realize that indeed these are significant symptoms, they should seek immediate attention, they do, and they're diagnosed with something serious. We have general family self-care guides. We also have them targeted for specific groups, mental, prenatal, students. We have them English, Spanish, men's, women's, so different groups. If you're interested or if a client is interested in a targeted program. The nurse advice line, pretty easy to conceive of. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can actually speak to a registered nurse regarding your issues, and then we can provide a comprehensive self-care program that combines some of these components that we've taken a look at. Each participant will receive the book, they'll receive the information online, they'll receive the nurse advice line, and then they receive a monthly newsletter, which always has a self-care article in it that reinforces use of the program, use of their guide, and use of the nurse advice line to help round out the program, keep the message in front of them throughout the year. The E standing for education, we have a variety of product lines when it comes to education. We've always taken it upon ourselves to package information in novel ways that helps increase motivation amongst a population. So, we do that in a variety of ways. We do that through the way that we package it, taking things and packaging them in pocket-sized booklets, credit card-sized booklets, taking posters and designing them in unique ways. So a variety of educational materials available. I'm not going to go into each title. We have an entire catalog that does outline all of the products, and we have over 150 of them. So, from an education standpoint, we can generally meet the needs of any client's desires. Some more examples here in terms of education, of course, a line of brochures. We actually have one of our more popular educational products is a regular deck of playing cards, each of which has been customized with a health activity and a health tip on it. Those are kind of unique. So we do try to do things in a unique way and make them a little bit more fun than just simply receiving a bit of health information. Video clips, we offer 2 different varieties. One is a cartoon variety, the whimsical adventures of the Wellness Wizard and Hypochondriacat. That's a series of 12 clips available in English and Spanish, so they can be delivered on a monthly basis through email or through a closed-circuit television or posted to a website. We also have a relationship with a registered dietitian named Zanya, who's very dynamic, very entertaining, very funny, who delivers health and nutrition information in a very digestible way. No pun intended, but it is quite it's quite intriguing the sort of stage presence that she has. They were all recorded in front of a live audience, very professionally done, very popular and worthwhile. Our rewards contain a couple of components. Number one, we can actually provide the incentives that may be used throughout the course of a program, things like promotional products. A lot of our other products and books and so forth can actually be used as incentives as well for participation or for reaching a certain point value. Our online platform actually also includes incentive tracking software with it, and we'll take a look at that. So we can easily report out on incentives. We can also take care of the fulfillment. Reporting, our last R here. Lots of reports are available right through the portal. One of the nice things is that we can provide an admin login not only for you but also for the client, to where they can view aggregate reports. Of course, no individual data, but aggregate data for the client. You would actually be able to have access to individual data if you were needing it for maybe another third party that was interested in it or utilizing it in some manner. But all the reports are available in one click. They're available in real time. The reporting engine is quite dynamic, and it's quite easy to use. And there's lots of them. We'll take a look at that. As far as compliance goes, we do follow all standards. We certainly work with clients to meet the recent guidelines of ACA. GINA, all of our assessment tools have been updated to meet those laws, and HIPAA, of course, is something that we all are trained in here at the Institute to make sure that we're meeting those standards as well. And this I can skip over, which is nice to do because you're familiar with us. What I'm going to do now is first pause for a moment and see if there's any questions before we log in. This is sort of a natural break in the hour here, so if there are any questions, I'll take those. The next step would be to log into the Healthy Life portal. So any questions at this point?
Hey, this is Aaron. I'm one of the consultants here. I have a question about the nurse line. Do you ever get questions, or is there opportunity to have it integrated with the health plan so that the nurse has a better understanding of the individual's plan in general, how they might use it and such?
Yeah, I believe by group we can give certain instructions to the nurses so that they're educated on some of the services that are available to a specific group. In fact, I think we have done that before. Hope, is that
you are
something
correct.
that we're capable of? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is something we're capable of doing. We can provide specific instructions by group.
And so much so that they might even be able to find a facility for them if they didn't have one, like say they needed to find a primary care physician that they didn't already have.
Yeah, so even as far as you're talking about like searching within their network.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as that information was made available to us to where we could pass it on to the nurses, then there's no problem with that.
Okay. Great.
Any other questions? Okay, if any do come up, as I mentioned, feel free to jump in. What I'm going to do now, and what hopefully you're taking a look at, is the login screen for our Healthy Life portal. One of the messages I want to convey very clearly is this is totally customizable, even not just for Oswald in general, but also for individual client companies. The portal is actually set up so that it's ideal for serving partners like Oswald, where you're then in turn serving multiple clients. The way in which we do that is we set up a parent site that would be an Oswald site, and then each of your clients can be a child site. There's some distinct advantages from that. One is if you're interested in gathering any reporting or taking care of any admin for any of your client sites, we give you the ability to do that. You can leave all of that to us, but if you do want to become autonomous in any way in terms of reporting, in terms of updating content, in terms of delivering programs and serving any admin functionality, you can do so from one login. You don't have to have separate logins for each of your clients. The other thing has to do with reporting. If you want to pull reports, you can do so from the parent, where every child company under you. So you could take a look at reporting across your entire book of business and provide that if clients are interested in their results versus the entire book of business. You can do that. You could take a look at your clients just in one geographic location, or it just really opens up a lot of doors in terms of nailing down data and so forth. The other thing is you can tailor the look and feel of the individual client sites. So because they're not all just seeing the same thing, they each have their own child site, they can have different logos, they can have different welcome messages, and they can have different programming. Maybe one client wants the HRA, maybe one client doesn't. Maybe one client wants to run a walking challenge, one client wants to run a stress management challenge. The sites that they see could be completely different, even though it's all housed under one parent site, which would be the Oswald site. This whole design could completely change. This message could change. This logo would change. We actually have 4 different templates for them to choose from as far as a site design even to begin with. So let me just go ahead and log in here. For the sake of the demo, we'll pretend that this person already has a profile. It would help if I remembered my login. That looks better. So this is one of our site templates right here. I'll just briefly show you a couple of the others. So they could log in and see something that looks more like that. Geometric, this is actually the template that I built our demo off. This one's called Freshness here. I did not come up with the titles, so I know Freshness was not my idea, although this is a rather fresh design, so they're not too far off. By the way, all of the imagery is customizable as well, so you don't have to show coffee beans. That's just a stock photo. And then the last one here is called Colorful. So you can see the design of the little widgets that are built in, the colors and so forth can change, and the clients can choose which template they'd like to work from. But those are just cosmetic issues. Let's get under the hood a little bit. Usually at the top we have some basic instructions. You notice we've got the slider. This can actually be customized by clients. So say that we've had some clients that have send in photos of their employees doing healthy things. Those can be part of the sliders, or other things that are important to the company, or we can keep it with the sort of healthy stock photography that we have. We've got a portal tutorial for the users so that they can see kind of like a just 5-minute overview of how to use the site and what the basic features and functionality consists of. USB pedometer instructions, we actually have a native personal fitness device that syncs up with the platform, and these are some instructions for that, how to sync the device. We have mobile apps for iPhone, Android, and Windows, and I'll touch on those after we get through a few features. But the mobile app is a little bit unique in how it's tailored to that client site. It's not just a generic app. Below those instructions and basic logistical information and downloads, we've got these rectangular boxes that you'll notice, and we refer to those as widgets. What's nice about these is we can pop them in and out depending on what you're wanting to deliver. So first we have a news feed, which is going to do sort of what you might imagine, talk about upcoming events, things that are pertinent to the individual and to the company. Those automatically populate. We've got the risk assessment built in, so I could launch directly into the risk assessment. I can also make the risk assessment required, where the first screen I see when I log in and register is this risk assessment, so that I can't actually access other parts of the portal until I complete my risk assessment. So you can make it optional or you can make it mandatory. As soon as I complete that assessment, I would have the report available to me. We have a bulk scheduler built in, so say for instance you want to schedule things like biometric screenings or health coaching sessions or flu shots. You can actually on the back end create a bulk schedule. You go in and you say from Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, I want to have half-hour time slots with a break from say 12 to 1 for lunch. And then this is what the user sees as the available time slots. And so I could sign up for, maybe on the 11th I'll sign up for a 10 o'clock meeting. And then it tells me right here, it gives me that confirmation. It tells me that Wednesday, February 11th at 10, I've got my coach meeting. I can add that to my Outlook calendar from here. I'm also going to receive a reminder to my email based upon the email I used when I registered. So this bulk scheduler can be used for any number of events. It can also be triggered based on risk factors. So maybe if somebody is found to have a specific risk factor, they are prompted to sign up for coaching. Perhaps they designate that they're a smoker in the risk assessment, so they're prompted to sign up for the smokeless program, for instance. Or they could be prompted to sign up for anything depending on risk factors. Below that, I've got a number of trackers. I've got my tracking history graph here. I can take a look at daily, weekly, or monthly status, calories, steps traveled, or distance. Calories, steps entered, distance traveled in a graphical display. We provide as many ways as possible to record activity. You can always self-enter, things like weight, activities that you do, steps that you count. So if you have one of those simple pedometers, which are often included in the programs, if you knew you walked 5,000 steps today, you could easily enter that. One more zero there. We'll add that for the total. You'll see that the graph gets updated. We have an activity counter, which is actually really nice. A lot of these physical activity programs focus on logging steps. Well, what if I'm not, big on walking or running, but I'm, a gardener, I want to enter that activity. So I was in the garden for, an hour today. The system will actually give you a step equivalent based upon metabolic equivalency tables that are built in. So I can now conceive of those gardening or other activities in the format of steps. And I can participate in any program. If the goal is 10,000 steps a day, I can participate without having to necessarily walk 10,000 steps. I can do it with whatever activity I want. Golf, maybe I'm on a softball team. Maybe I do yoga. Maybe I play tennis. All of those activities can be entered through the metabolic equivalency tables. The goal summary allows me to set individual goals up for myself. This can also be utilized with a health coach where I can define my own goals. These are not organizational goals. This is me saying I want to go for a 15-minute walk after lunch, so I can actually tailor the experience of the portal to myself and my own goals. 5 minutes to meditate each day, those sorts of things that the organization may not be setting down as goals, but I want to work on. I mentioned we want to provide as many ways to record activities as possible. We have the Fitbit syncing, so if anybody has a Fitbit device or the Fitbit app, they can sync up with us. We also, in 2015, just launched our partnership with Google Fit. Google Fit is a platform, obviously through Google, that is essentially another hub for syncing, and they already integrate with a number of other devices and apps. I know off the top of my head they've got all the Polar devices, they've got all the Nike Fuel Band devices, they've got Map My Run, Map My Fitness, they've got those apps. So if anybody's using any of those other native apps or devices that already sync with Google Fit, they can easily integrate in with the site. So it's just a one-step verification process with their Google ID, and then all of that activity would then be transferred over to the portal, so they don't need to re-enter it. The wellness points, I alluded to this, is our incentive tracking software. Each company can actually custom design their point system. We have a best practice guideline, but they can take a look and say, we want to award 5 points for each day somebody logs in, 100 points for filling out the risk assessment, 200 points for completing a coaching program. Whatever it is, it can be custom designed, and then we can report out on the point values if they have an interest in premium differentials or another incentive campaign. The buddy list down here at the bottom allows an individual to become health buddies with anybody on the site. It's basically allows for a messaging platform between those buddies. It works well if you're on a team with somebody or you're friends with a coworker and you want to coordinate a healthy lunch or a walk after work, something like that. Just a few more items to get through. I know I'm moving rather quickly, but I do have, it's a lot to cram into a short period of time, so I hope you'll excuse me. The personal trackers, there are other ways to record activity even under the activity tracker. This is a map that will populate based upon the address you entered in registration. So whatever address you entered, whether home or work, you can always change that address. But you can plop a map, a route out here on the map. And what's nice is when I complete that, it'll tell me up here exactly the distance I traveled, which is 2.1 miles, and then 4,455 steps, so I can add that to my total. That's even going to further let me break down exactly what the activity was. Was it a walk? We have, even if it's a body of water, you can have a swim or a canoe. It could be a cross-country ski. It could be a bike ride. It could be a run of low, medium, or high intensity. So let's say this was a low-intensity run. On that route, that's going to adjust my step total, and it's going to go ahead and add to my total for today over on the sidebar. If this is a run that I partake in on a regular basis, I can save this as a route. Maybe this is, we'll call it run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Go ahead and click OK. And you'll notice down here I've got run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So when I come back here and this map is clear, all I have to do is click on run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there's the route we just created. So I don't have to re-enter that information. The organization can also do the same process and set routes public. If there are common, or recommended 1 mile, 3 mile, 5 mile routes around the work site, they can go ahead and recommend those for employees. Other trackers include, I'm not going to go into each one in detail, but tracking of nutrition, serving sizes of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, those sorts of things, hydration tracking, glasses of water. The weight tracker obviously was on the home page, but there's a graphical display of it over time. The Wellness Journal allows individuals to actually type in how they're feeling in various aspects of their life, and they can always come back, return to it. It's kept completely confidential. They can print out these pages, or they can just keep them here for later review. The health tips page is built-in content, but organizations can also add their own. They rotate on a weekly basis, and they're also delivered by email to individuals. The challenges, this is certainly a strength of the site. We're up to 48 themed challenges that are ready to go, so quite a few to choose from in a variety of areas, everything from physical fitness, stress management, nutrition, weight loss, healthy eating, financial wellness, tobacco cessation, lots of options when it comes to challenges. I'll just take a look at a couple examples here so that you can see how they're all themed. This is a physical activity challenge. We're asking people to obviously take more steps, more activity. As they do so and enter that activity, they'll move their way across this map, which is of the United States, and they're going to cross important historical landmarks. They'll get pop-ups as they move across the United States. They'll see their coworkers in the challenge and how they rank against them. Obviously, it's very easy to conceive of a physical activity challenge with a map, but we have other opportunities for visual aids when it comes to other challenges. So let's take a look at one of our newer challenges called Eat the Rainbow. It's a healthy eating challenge, encouraging individuals to eat more fruits and vegetables. So what they see as the visuals is their plate with the new Choose My Plate guidelines. They've got a quarter for protein, a quarter for whole grains, and then half of their plate should be fruits and vegetables, which we have given the shape of a rainbow for. And what the user can do is go down here and type in the particular food that they've eaten. If they've had a whole serving of carrots, they drag that item up here, and they decide whether it was a half or a full serving. We'll say we had a full serving of carrots, and that portion of the rainbow has been filled in. So maybe I had some purple grapes. Let's bring those up for a full serving, and I've got my purple portion. I can go ahead and bring grapefruit up here and get that. So you can see where throughout the course of the day, if I get all my servings, I can complete the rainbow, which is kind of a nice, fun, interactive way to conceive of getting your fruits and vegetables for the day. If I made a mistake or something, I can go ahead and remove those servings by half serving at a time. So those are the couple challenge examples. Share your success is a testimonial page. It's a way to socially interact, talk about your successes, what you enjoyed about the program. Users can upload images and basically share what they liked. The event portion is a calendar that allows, by company, uploading of wellness events, anything related to wellness or benefits that's of interest for that company. This is something that we can pass on control of to the individual companies. So if they have somebody who is able to upload those events, we can pass along the admin privileges. What's nice about these events is when you click on them, you can provide a whole description, you can provide images, you can do anything with this area here, so you can get into detail, you can provide links to resources, and you can also make these events registration events. So say for instance you've got this yoga class, but there's only room for 25 people in the conference room. So I'm going to cap this at 25 people on the back end, and then I'm a user here. I click register for this event. It tells me I'm registered, and I know that through the check mark there. But at 25 people, it's going to cap and not let anybody else register. At that point, I could email the organizer and perhaps find out if any spots open up, or maybe when the next yoga class is going to be. That's the event calendar. All of these automatically get pulled into the news feed. The library is rather exciting, and I say that because we can actually incorporate our Healthy Learn library, which is up here, if that's of interest. So I'm just going to sort of show it to you here as a screenshot, and we'll actually dive into the full live version of the site in a moment here. Let's just round out with the e-cards, which is a greeting card system. Lets you pick any relevant or interesting greeting card, enter the recipients. It could be one or more people, and a message. This is used for a couple of purposes. One is to help promote the program from a grassroots effort. So take a little bit of the promotional burden off of management and let users recruit their friends to the site or recruit them to join their team for a challenge or something of that nature. You can also send them as a user to your friends who have achieved some sort of success or outcome. Maybe they won a challenge, maybe they lost weight, something like that. And then the last couple things under profile, I can generate my mobile access code. We'll talk about the app here in a second. I can take a look at my history, so individual reports for myself, update my profile. Let's just bring up the app here for a second, so I've got some screenshots for you. The app is unique in that whatever branding and welcome messaging and programs you've placed into the online portion would be carried through for the app. So each client actually essentially has their own app. They get their own name for the mobile app. They have their own branding. They have their own messaging. The programs that they have chosen to include on the site would be the ones that they see here within the app. Same with the tracking, same with the challenges, and all of those features would be carried through, and it's tailored to me as an individual. So it's a little bit different than sort of just downloading a generic app where everybody sees the same thing. Each of your clients would actually have a unique experience within the app, and as I mentioned, it's available on iPhone, Android, and Windows Phone. That is probably the quickest I've gone through this. So there may be questions, and before the last component, we're almost there. You guys are very patient, and I appreciate that. The last component is the Healthy Learn library. But before we move on to that, any questions in regards to the Healthy Life portal? I'll take that as a no for the time being. If anybody changes their mind, that's okay too. So we've got a few minutes left here, which should allow me enough time to speed through the Healthy Learn portal, not to be confused with the Healthy Life portal, but Healthy Learn is an on-demand educational library where we saw a need in the marketplace for a content-rich site that delivered the very dense, rich information in easily digestible, user-friendly, aesthetically appealing ways. And so that's what we've attempted to achieve here, and we think we've done a pretty good job with it. Again, we can control all of the branding aspects, anything cosmetic. We can certainly change for you. As far as content goes, we've divided the site into 6 sections: living healthy, health consumerism, health conditions, financial health, mental and social, safety, and first aid. Now this site can be provided as a standalone website where you link to it from existing resources, or it can be embedded into a site like we saw on the Healthy Life portal. Some of the features include the A to Z encyclopedia, so if you want to search up a topic by the first letter of the topic you're thinking of, you can do so there. You can also take a look at your symptoms through a symptom checker by clicking on, male or female, and then the body part that you're interested in, and then going ahead and clicking on that particular area, and it takes you through signs and symptoms, causes, medical attention, prevention, treatment, self-care options. There's over 200 videos that have been built in, and they're all placed within the relevant content areas of the site. Let's jump back to the home page here for a moment and talk about some of the other features. There's the health news section that's rotated and updated on a regular basis. There's a health tip a day that's updated each day. There's a Make the Change section which links to actually online content related to stress management, tobacco cessation, and weight loss. Top searches if somebody's interested in exploring the site. Ask the Coach section is rather unique to our portal, where you can actually fill out a brief form here and ask a non-medical lifestyle related question, and they'll receive a response from one of our health coaches within 24 hours. It's not a canned stock response. It's actually an individual, one of our coaches, who responds to them. Newsletter sign-up allows them to receive selected information from this site delivered to their email inbox, so if they want to be updated with recent stories and things like that. And down here is a recent stories, sort of a pinboard style exploration for browsing the site. So we wanted to make this a place that was not just a resource when you're feeling sick or want to look up specific symptoms, but also a nice website to browse, read articles. Most of the articles are relatively short by design, so that we don't lose somebody's attention. Let's just go ahead and take a look at how we would get to a specific section. First of all, each of these section headings has its own landing page. So if I click on Living Healthy, I've got quick access links, and I've got a slider for Living Healthy. I can also go directly to a section under Living Healthy, so say for instance the fitness section. The fitness section is broken down, and all the sections follow this format. On the left sidebar by general guidelines, planning for fitness, and ways to get fit. So whatever the relevant subsections of that section are would be here on the left, and then the articles related to that subsection here on the right. You notice they're grayed out, and as I hover over them, they become lit up. So I could go ahead and click on this Time to Get Physical. This is going to take me to an article. You can see that it's not incredibly long. It's easy to get through. When I get to the bottom of it, I've got a whole list of related articles to get to, which is nice. So if I want to explore things within a particular topic, I can do so easily. Got the videos embedded in, and then I've got my PDF print on demand, which is another very unique feature of our site, which is that it's not just a matter of, you say you like this information, you like this article. If I were to print this from a typical browser printer, I would see on the page something that looks roughly like this page with, who knows what sort of other information, perhaps this header. It wouldn't look as nice as something like this, which is a print-on-demand PDF that's been graphically laid out by our designer and designed for easy printing and sharing. So now the individual has this as a PDF. If they like it, they can take it with them. If the organization likes it, they can leverage this asset as a resource and communicate it through email or print it out as a flyer. these are also the same resources that Hope mentioned that our coaches have access to. So when it's relevant for an individual to read follow-up information, they can draw upon these assets from the site. The search is a dynamic search box so that when you type in the topic that you're interested in, you've got suggested answers here, and I can actually go directly to that page and bypass the search results. As opposed to if I were to type in cold and run the search. Oops. Let me actually run the search there. I'll get all the relevant articles coming up in a frame above the site here. So 2 options there as far as search goes. Again, I'm not sure I've ever gone through this site as quickly, but what I have managed to do is stay within the confines of our time frame, which I'm always cognizant of. So we do even have a couple of minutes for questions. I want to first and foremost thank you for the opportunity to present the work of the American Institute for Preventive Medicine, and as I mentioned at the outset, I know it's not easy to get everybody together at the same time. So I'm happy to take any and all questions that you have at this point, or if when you're reviewing the information or as questions come up for specific clients, I'm always happy to answer questions later on. The other thing I want to mention is when you do have a client that may express interest in an area that you think could be a good fit for our offerings, organize one of these demos with your specific client. Product areas that they're interested in. So we're happy to be a resource for you, provide any of the sample materials that may be relevant. But any questions at this point before we close for today?
Brett, just one quick question. This is Andy. The Healthy Learn site, so obviously if a client wanted to put some branding around that, they could use that. But I guess for the HMCs, as they're looking for additional maybe resources, this is also something where we could potentially go in and use it. It's a quote-unquote public site if we were going to go in and maybe get some information on cold and flu. For a client, we could potentially do that. Yeah.
So you're talking about a client using this as an open site for their employee population?
I guess I hadn't gone that far. I was just thinking if the HMCs were grabbing some information, maybe a client said, "Hey, do you have do you have something on cold and flu? You could send me, and maybe downloading the information here from the site and saying, here you go." And I know there's obviously ways if a client wanted to have it branded and use it as kind of their own wellness program educational site, they could do that too. But it's a quote unquote open public site, right?
Yeah, so there is actually going to be a public version of it. It's actually open right now. The difference is the public version is going to be similar to like a WebMD, where there is going to be there are going to be ads on that site. So
sure.
The advantage of licensing it from a private standpoint is that there's no ads, and we can have full control over customization in terms of logos, adding additional links and resources, and reporting out. So we do have full-blown reporting capabilities to the end client as far as how many unique sessions, page views, which content was more popular, when, where, how, lots of good data. So, but yeah, as a public site, we can still do that. And depending on what the scenario is in terms of how they wanted to leverage it, we can talk about what the license structure would be, or how it can be utilized.
Okay. Well, good. And I know we're running up against it, so we appreciate you hustling through the presentation. So maybe just one last call. Any of the HMCs have any additional questions? I think we'll take the silence as there's not any additional questions. If we do have some, we'll make sure that we run them back through you. Sometimes that people do come back with questions a little bit later after they've digested or they take a look at the materials. Hope sends afterwards and says, okay, well I do have a question about this. Can we do this? We'll make sure that we get in touch with you and clarify those questions. Again, we appreciate the time. Appreciate you hustling through the presentation as best as possible. I think from our standpoint, we did get a lot of information, a lot of value, and ability to see everything. Sometimes it's just getting an idea for some things and then diving in deeper once we have kind of those opportunities when a client's kind of it fits the strategy. So we
Sure.
appreciate your time. Appreciate you hopping on the line here and giving us the overview.
We
Absolutely.
appreciate you as well.
Thanks again. Thank you, Andy.
All right.
Everybody take care.
All
Have
right.
a great day.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Hope. Thanks, Brett.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.